Good morning. This is the regular open meeting of United Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors, California Not-for-Profit Mutual Benefit Corporation. This is Tuesday, March 12th, 2024, 9:30 in the morning, and we're in the boardroom at the Community Center. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the regular United Mutual Board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930 and was hereby noticed in accordance with Civil Code 4920. And we have a quorum. We have everybody in the house today, which is great to see. And we would ask Director Willis to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Acknowledge the media. We are live and in color and being recorded for history, and we all know that, and we'll behave accordingly. May I have, is there any objection to the previous, to the agenda as posted from directors? Nancy?
Thank you. I did notice two mistakes in there, if this is the right time to bring it up. The minutes on 13D and 16D, number 2.
Well, let's get to minutes. This
Okay.
We're on agenda. Is agenda okay? Then we'll move to minutes. And we do have a correction on minutes. Nancy, go ahead.
Yes. 13D, which is, I have to look it up, but it's the minutes that are in here is the addendum. There was another meeting subsequent to that. So in other words, if it's reflecting the last set of minutes, it's not the current set of minutes for that. And on 16D, and it also was incorrect minutes, there was a January, it's included in the packet as a January 31st meeting, and there was one on March 6th.
Sorry, what? Could you turn your
Sure.
microphone on and
Sure,
speak
13D.
again, please? Is your microphone on?
It is on.
Okay.
Can you move the microphone closer to your
Please.
mouth?
Or your mouth closer to it.
Sure.
What page?
Oh, excuse me, not 13D, I beg your pardon. 16D. 16D, item 2. Incorrect minutes for the last meeting on space planning. It listed as January 31 minutes, and there was actually a March 6th meeting. So I don't know if it was just lag time in putting this packet together, but there was a March 6th set of minutes, I believe.
Right now we're looking at meeting minutes of the board's open session, Nancy. Are we in the same? We're not talking about committee reports here.
5A and B.
We're on, yeah, thank you.
Well,
May I? Nancy, I think you're saying that there was a meeting on March 6th, but I also have it for March 14th, the CAC meeting. That's when I'm
Right.
planning to attend.
yeah, I'm not talking CAC. Hang on a minute.
I'm sorry, so you're questioning
Looking at
the
agenda
minutes?
item 16D, 2.
Is this on the agenda or the minutes that
It's the
were in the
minutes.
packet?
So-
It's the approval of the meeting minutes.
Okay.
These are the most recent minutes that we have to put in our
Okay.
packet, so
Yeah.
Well, that was my
the March
point.
6th
You might
minutes
not
won't
have
be
been up
released till
to-
later on, because
Right.
those have to be approved by the chair first, then they'll
Sure.
submit it to us.
Right.
Duly noted, but there was another meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Do we then have approval of the minutes as submitted with those noted corrections? Thank you, Vidya. Thank you. Okay. For my report, I'd like to just make the observation with the recent rains occurring, we are now almost at 80% of our annual rainfall. And our annual rainfall, I think, clocks from October 1st of the year going forward. And here we are only in March. So we are at 80% of the whole blooming year with still almost 7 months to go in the rain cycle. Now, the good news is that, of course, with all this rain, United looks fantastic. The grass is green, the trees are fresh, the flowers are in bloom. I've never seen such beautiful, beautiful blossoms on trees and plants and bushes this year is showing us. And the good news is also that we are able to conserve water for watering lawns, watering plants, and so on. I don't know exactly how much savings we've gotten, but there will be some savings from not having to buy water and water our landscape. So that is good news. We also fared pretty well with leaks and flooding in the recent rain cycle. So there haven't been any major disasters. There's always some small problems, but nothing major going on. That's one item. So hooray for rain and hooray for good performance from staff in dealing with it. Secondly, I would remind everyone out there in TV land and everyone here that we are again in an election cycle, beginning the election cycle. This year in the United Board in the fall, late summer and fall, we'll be going to the election of 4 directors. This is a 4-director year. And so please, if you are thinking at all about doing this, do a little homework. And try to get familiar with what duties and responsibilities might entail and whether you can handle it. It certainly is a very worthwhile thing to do, and I urge you to consider it if it all works into your life. At this time, I would also remind you to, if you have any interest in applying for open positions, we have one for VMS board and one for GRF board open right now. You won't miss the window if you apply immediately for those. And with that, that concludes my comments, and we have open forum. Speakers from the floor. Paul?
Okay, our first speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning. Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here to provide an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. This is about estate planning. It's not just having a will. What if you suddenly become responsible for someone who suffered a serious stroke and could no longer communicate with you? What do you need to know? What if you were the one who suffered the serious stroke? What do you need to know about protecting your interests, both financial and health related? Next broadcast in the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village televised series entitled Planning for the Inevitable will look at these issues, continuing our discussion of estate planning. It'll focus on planning for the possibility of becoming incapacitated. This can be an uncomfortable topic, but one which is very important. Do you know what steps you have to take to protect yourself? What are some things you can do right now? Should you have a durable power of attorney? Have you executed an advance directive? What if you're alone and have no local family? What happens if someone doesn't take steps to protect themselves? And what is conservatorship? These questions and related issues are being covered in a television broadcast during the whole month of March, and they're on Saturdays on Channel 6 at 12 noon. Tune in and hear Faye Blix, who's a local elder law attorney. She has been an elder law attorney since 1984 and the founder of the elder law section of the Orange County Bar. According to Attorney Blix, estate planning is an ongoing process. It's a continuum that begins while you're alive. The emphasis that you need to plan for and the possibility of incapacity, and discusses some immediate steps that you can be taking. If you want to review this broadcast on your own schedule, it's available on the Foundation website, which is foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org, under a special tab, which is Planning for the Inevitable. This website section also includes the YouTube links for broadcasts and all the earlier issues that we've discussed. If you have any questions about the topic or all the broadcasts, you can contact the Foundation at comline.com. For more information about the Foundation, please go to our website at foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org. Please note that donations can always be made using PayPal or a credit card on the Foundation website. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, our next speaker is Karen Beverly.
unit?
2036 Alpha.
Thank you.
Good morning. We are Karen and Mike Beverly, owners of an exclusive right of use of Manor House 2036A via Mariposa. We are here today asking for clarity about our right of use of the walkway that runs from the general sidewalk to our gate. It is 28 feet long and only runs between our gate and the sidewalk. A dispute has arisen between us and our adjacent neighbor concerning the use of this walkway. The neighbor has taken part of the walkway and turned it into a shortcut to the carports behind our manor house. He built a stepping stone pathway from the lawn area around the edge of our unit and into our walkway. It now intersects there, 8 feet from our gate. We complained to him about this, but he claimed that our walkway was common use and could be so appropriated. Others said the same. As a result, we have lost some of the use of our privacy. We have lost about 20 feet of private use of the walkway. We have people walking by peering into our patio. Not knowing the status of this walkway, we tried researching it. We learned that Laguna Woods Village has at least 3 categories of use: common, exclusive, and semi-exclusive. We checked the landscape manual about this matter. In the manual, after the resolutions, there are some definitions. One is of common area, and it's defined: common area, the entire common interest development except separate interests therein, parentheses, that is, walkways, breezeways, and open space, citing California Code 4095. It is unclear to us whether the parenthetical material refers to common use or to exception. We ask this board, please give us a clear response as to the status of our walkway to our unit. We hope that the walkway, which has a sole original purpose of going from general purpose sidewalk up to our front gate, be declared an exclusive right of use or declared semi-exclusive. We would like to regain the privacy we once enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Maxine McIntosh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful to be back and to see all these happy faces and people willing to donate their time. Again, I thank all of you, including staff under the excellent leadership of Saban. I was concerned at first this morning about the lack of agendas over here. But when I came in last Friday, I was told that, look at the size of the one today. My goodness, that's over 100 pages. And I was told that it's a cost-cutting move. So I understand that. But I always write on my agenda, and I always keep the pages on which I've written, because I often refer back to them, because I do not have 100% memory. And I need to go back and be sure I'm quoting facts correctly and things that have happened. So I thought, and my computer died, and someone else that lives at my house managed to have trouble with our printer. That's where it doesn't work. And so I thought, what about, for years, I've always been in favor of, I would say, a good advocate for good communication throughout the village, as I know all of you are as board members. And so I thought, I wonder how many people out there don't use computers or don't have them, but watch the meeting or come to a meeting, would like to read the section they're interested in the agenda. And I wondered if maybe we could have a call-in system. Like, I would be happy to call and say when I'm planning to be here, and maybe agendas could be ordered by a number. Just something for you to please think about. that might help people like myself who now find themselves bereft of a computer. And I'm totally aware of the fact that our VMS staff is carefully always being led on a path of welcome efficiency spending. All the years I've lived here, I've never seen such good efficiency spending represented constantly at board meetings. Until Saban took over the CEO position, there wasn't, in my opinion, the many reports of responsible savings ongoing, not the large number of them, as there are now in United. I'm very happy for all my fellow United members that live here and myself that this is true. Wanted to make a comment on, I was over at Hoag Hospital quite a bit recently, and they're on Jeffrey Road, and they're going through a really ugly, terrible renovation. Really, I'm sure the result will be fine, but boy, try to find your way around and try to get directions for any of the people outside that don't know where anything is either. And I noticed that they have erected a sign at their busiest section near the parking, similar to the ones we have that flash. And I know we've had some complaints from people several times, more than once, about these flashing stop signs. Well, they have one, and it's brighter than ours. Not only is it red around the edges, it's all flashing white lights in the middle. They're making sure they consider that an important stop. I am, having served on the traffic committee a number of years, I am very grateful to see the signs. And you'll only really appreciate it the time it saves you from being struck in a crosswalk, because once that car came within 2 feet of me. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine.
Our next speaker is Cheryl Garcia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is my first time before this board, so I did not come prepared with a speech, but I hope you'll grant me a little latitude. I am having a serious problem in my manor right now, and while I appreciate your positivity about the rain, it hasn't been so positive for me. Back on February 5th, Quest Construction was subcontracted out to descale the sewer laterals in my building. Upon doing that, they collapsed 10 feet of the sewer lateral in 792A. It has not been fixed to date. So I, in an effort to not collapse my line, I'm in 792B, have gone to the clubhouse to take care of my business and to shower. Just trying to make sure that my lines don't collapse. However, 792A is continuing. She will not allow access to repair the pipes. She's gone to compliance, and now she's scheduled for a meeting before the board. She knows there's a problem. She set unrealistic expectations about the repair of this, only giving the construction company an 8-hour window to enter, remove tile, jackhammer, air clearance, soil remediation, pipe repair, re-pour the concrete, and reinstall her tile. There's no way that they can do that. So she's just being really unreasonable. But in the process, she is contaminating the groundwater because she is continuing to use her bathrooms because she's not having any backup. Everything is dumping right into the soil. So every time it rains, because part of her pipe is hooked to mine and the other 3 units in the building, the rainwater and the mud flow into the sewer pipes, jam them all up, and then her sewage and the mud are backing up into my shower since February 5th. So I'm respectfully requesting that the board inquire into this and find out how they can expeditiously remedy the situation. Thank you.
Cheryl.
Immediately.
All right, next speaker is Elizabeth Romano.
Good morning. Thank you for your time. I wanted to follow up on the request that was put in for a forensic audit for the funds, the insurance funds for this community. We're still not able to obtain loans. And for the people that don't have a real estate background, and for the rest of you, I went to law school, and real estate was my area of expertise. A real estate loan is considered a very valuable piece of a property, and our loan now is doubled. Okay, we did have 3%. Now we have to go out to prevailing market rate, which is more than 7%, and it was due to the loss of our insurance funding. So there still is a $1 million plus $250,000 that needs to be accounted for and returned, and this is not okay. We'd asked for a forensic audit, and we should have had it back, and not just the general report, but to what happened to that money. That's hard-earned money, and it's people have put their life into this, and it's not okay to have it disappear, okay? And for you guys to know that the value of a loan is a very primary part of a value of real estate. Okay, what do you want to do? Pay 3% for your house, or do you want to pay 7%, which we're forced to now? So, that is just unacceptable. And I wanted also to correct the record for the closure of the, and it's unfortunate that I have to do this, but I want to correct the record for the closure of the drop-in lounge. That followed the acting out behavior of the president's son, and it went on for years, and it was a burden onto this community. I was bullied for complaining about it on behalf of the residents. So this is my experience, is that the police were sent out to pound on my door at night. The head of security was sent out to tell me to not talk about it, that he was allowed to come in there and assault us every day, take our property, turn the channels of the TV, stand there and say, I can do anything that I want. 300-pound, psychotic, delusional, schizophrenic, mentally ill man who said, I can do anything I want because my mother's the president here. So he would take our food, assault a certain gentleman every night. And my complaint about that got me this retaliation, that my TV was turned off. Isolation is the worst thing that you can do to a person out here. And that was the closure and the cutting off of the TV. Our suicide rate is just too damn high, and we're not addressing it at all. We're cutting off other things. And sorry for taking a little bit more time, but we need to stop the bullying that goes on here. And bullying is against the law. And so if you had somebody come and threaten you at night, if you had somebody knock on your windows at night, if you had somebody tell you that you have to pay $500 to speak to a board member to lodge a complaint or an issue, okay, that to me is not a subjective thing. That is bullying, and we need to stop it here, and we need to stop it now. And the company here has done a very good job of making sure that our CEO is very hard to get have accountability. What we need to do is start going to small claims court, and we can be successful there to change things, which are just unacceptable and life-threatening, and the quality of life is not okay. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your support, and I am going to ask the CEO to follow up on this. This has been demanded, okay? It's by law. You haven't done it, okay? And to me, that's a failure of your job, and you know that. And you've been asked to leave before. Okay, this is a federal civil rights violation you have for not responding to this. So that's all that I have.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Okay, looks like we have an email. This one pertains to a compliance case, appears. So it's from 9/21 Charlie, Louise Baker. I'll go ahead and read the email. For the past 4 years, beginning in February and ending in the middle of April of each year, at precisely 5:50 p.m. each evening, these amphibians commence their croaking symphony. However, the croaking soon escalates into a deafening screeches that persist until midnight, occasionally extending into the early morning hours. This nightly frog ritual has become a recurring nightmare for us, disturbing the tranquility of our surroundings and testing our patience and causing sleepless nights. 4 years ago, when this began, we attempted to address the issue with our neighbor. He became enraged and, in a very angry and threatening voice, told us that the Laguna Woods is a country living, and if we couldn't accept that, we shouldn't be living here. We told him the entire situation could be solved very easily because all he needed to do was empty out the water from the container, and the frogs would look elsewhere for a breeding ground. All frogs must eventually come back to the water to mate and lay eggs. He was livid in an angry voice, told us we were taking his garden away from him, and it was his garden that kept him alive. We tried to assure him that we had no intentions of taking his garden away. If he just disposed of the water, there would be no problem. He refused. Despite attempts to address the issue with our neighbor, the relentless course of frogs persist, leaving us in a perpetual state of frustration. The once charming sound of nature had transformed into an unwelcoming intrusion, robbing us of peaceful evenings and restful nights. As we continue to navigate the challenging situation, we are left pondering solutions to mitigate the disruptive presence of our amphibian neighbors and to restore harmony to our evenings. We went to security on Tuesday, February 27, 2024, to discuss our situation. Security told us compliance had opened a case on this issue because someone else had complained about the loud noise coming from the neighbor's property at night. We spoke to compliance, and they concluded from the report compiled by investigators that there was no breach of compliance because GRF rules only include domesticated animals, and frogs are non-domesticated animals. Therefore, there are no rules to comply with, and there was nothing in that garden that was non-compliant. We hit a dead end, and that's why we're submitting this email to you today, so that you can bring this attention to the board.
Thank you. We have replies to the open forum today. Siobhan, do you want to?
Yes, I wanted to start by responding to the Beverleys. This item is scheduled for the Landscaping Committee meeting on March 25th. So Kurt and his staff have been in contact with the residents. So March 25th, the Landscaping Committee meeting. We are looking into Ms. Garcia's concern about the neighbor's sewer line. I'll provide an update just as soon as I have it. Thank you. And we have not received a request from Dr. Romano. Thank you.
No, thank you. A couple of comments, Maggie?
Okay, as to the frogs, that would be a nuisance since wind chimes can be a nuisance. That's listed in our policy. Then certainly frogs doing that. It is his own container, whatever large container of water he has out there. He leaves it out there because he likes frogs to come and make the noise. But it's unbearable for close neighbors. So he is, apparently it's 8 feet from his building. Our limitation for garden things and items is 3 feet now. So it's beyond that. So there are a couple of ways of looking at that. As far as, let's see. Well, I can't find it. Thank you.
Okay. Ellen?
I wanted to respond to Cheryl. You talked about Quest Construction. What was Quest doing?
They came to descale my sewer lines because I was having consistent, probably every 6 weeks, backups.
Okay.
And when they were descaling...
Cheryl, could you come to the mic so we could all hear you?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
They were hired to descale the lines because I was having backups probably every 4 to 6 weeks, but I don't know. They said there was a crack in 792A's sewer line, and when they went through, the pressure collapsed the line in her house.
Okay.
But I've had the plumbers out since the 5th of February 4 times, and it's every time it rains. The last one was 4 days ago between 1:30 and 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Nancy?
it's really...
This is not epoxy? This is not epoxy line?
Again, I'll
They were
provide,
descaling it to put epoxy
I never
in.
heard of
I'm
it.
getting all the information and I will share it as soon as
Yeah.
I have it. If you
Okay.
Just bear with me, please.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you.
A question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, just last one. So have you made a photographic record or a video record of?
I'm
any
just
of this?
keeping a journal.
Okay, do you have an iPhone?
I do.
Good. Can I make a recommendation that you take some images
Madam
and also share
Chair.
them with the
I
GM?
can't take images. It's underground.
Okay.
It's in the piping, but The plumbing department has been out and they've scoped the line 3
Point-
times, so they know exactly what it
Point-
looks like.
Point of
It's just a
order.
matter of getting her to comply, and she's not going to. So
President
she's got a
Bach?
hearing in
Point-
April.
Point of order, please.
Order. This is not where we solve the problem. This is where we become aware of the problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would just like to remind the board that we can't have back and forth with the residents.
Right,
Thank you.
okay. Response to past open forum items, Vidya Kali will give that report.
Okay. Okay, the first item is from John Keferi at 11A, who was concerned about conserving energy at home and concerned about insulations being used in his roof and attic. He was wondering why we were using 1-inch insulation rather than 2 inches. And the outcome of that was that per the MNC department, the roof insulation is specified per the Johns Manville warranty for the PVC cool roofing system. Additionally, a 1/2-inch dense deck roof board is installed under the roof system to provide fire resistance and added thermal barrier and moisture resistance. The second item is concerns Elizabeth Romano at 2035A, when she spoke about the drop-in lounge being closed. And the response is that the drop-in lounge has always been open. It is only now that the lounge is closed due to the Clubhouse 1 renovations. And the last item concerns Anne Beltran at 854O, who spoke about the urban forest plan and that she was in favor of it. The response, the outcome is that the statement has been received. And that's it.
Thank you. Anything else on past from anyone? Thank you. And now we have our VMS board report from Manny Robledo, who is one of our representatives from United, who serves on the VMS board representing our interest and the whole interest of the community there. Manny, good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here to give you an update on what we've been doing at VMS. Of course, we at VMS are the property manager for the village, not only the buildings, but also the common grounds and the recreation. And one of the things that we've done is we've established a committee, an ad hoc committee, to look at how we're doing. I think we've heard some thoughts from the mutuals, and we thought it was incumbent upon us to take a look at how we're doing compared to the outside world and the private contractor world. And we've had 2 meetings of this committee. It consists of the CEO, 3 board members from VMS, myself, Rosemary De Lorenzo, and also Robert Reyes, and the CEO, and all of the department heads. So it's been a very fruitful exercise. The direction we've given, we're not telling them how to do it. We're asking them how they would compare themselves to private industry and show that they are efficient in their work, and it costs less for us to do it than an outside company. So the areas include landscaping, recreation, security, maintenance and construction, general services, which includes like the transportation and the fleet vehicles, and customer service and IT. And we've had some really good feedback. The last meeting we had them present how they would do it, and some examples would be like maintenance and construction. They do painting, right? So we have either our craft people do it, or we have a contract do it. If we have a contractor do it, and in some cases we do have a contractor do it, and in that case we would see, well, how much overhead is there compared to a private contractor? if we add in our HR department and our executive pay and things like that on top of the contract prices, it's still cheaper. So we're looking at including indirect costs, and then we compare that against the hourly wages and materials and supervision that we pay to do it. So the product of this committee will be a report that will go to the mutuals. Each department will write up like a 2-page summary of what they've done, what they've compared themselves to, and also how we're doing. And initial results look pretty good, and I'm hopeful that it'll show that owning our own management company that does not have a margin for profit is cheaper than having an outside company that prices in risk and profit along with the assessment. You know, I'm a resident too, so I pay the assessment. And when I first moved here, it was a concern, not so much the current level, but the amount that it goes up each year. And in reviewing how things are done, of course it's going to go up because I like to say elections matter, and there are things like minimum wage and insurance fires and things like that. I think it's up to us to manage that so it doesn't go up faster than inflation, and we can manage the increases along with maintaining the services. Because it's easy to cut services and then you wind up with something, unhappiness from the service department. But the challenge for VMS is to maintain the services and keep the assessment growth as low as possible. So this is an ad hoc committee. It will go away as soon as we do a report, and we may get some feedback from you as to maybe you want us to look at something else, but we think it was important to dig into it at the staff level so we can have real numbers compared to outside. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does someone have a question? Sue, go ahead.
Perhaps you can help us on a different issue with VMS.
Yes.
We received a notice from the VMS chair, the president of VMS, that stated that they were no longer going to have department head presentations during closed meetings, and that they would do that during as events came up. They would have something. I was hoping we would go in the other direction, that these presentations would be done in the open meetings, because we have so many new people that come in. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know that I could attend the VMS meetings until this year, and so as a director. So I did find it very educational to attend the meetings. And I know they're saying, well, we'll do this, we'll cover it in the budget cycle. But I just think, like in this next year, we're going to have 4 new people come on. And the more education they have, the better. Mm-hmm. I know this has been decided, but I would appreciate your looking at it and seeing whether this is our best option. Perhaps the department head presentations could be done in a different setting. I just think it's very helpful to learn about what they do, and not all of us serve on all the committees, obviously, so we have to learn about it. Thank you.
I agree. I'll let Ms. Foster respond, and then I'll add some thoughts too, and I guess.
Thank you. I just wanted to share that actually tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about this in my report to you after Director Robledo, are the department head presentations on the budget. So tomorrow, beginning at 9:30, you'll hear from every single department head here in the boardroom presenting their departmental operations, their service levels, and so forth. And that is very redundant to what we do in the open session. So we thought it was better to do it here in the boardroom where all of our residents can hear, as well as all of our board members. We've also been talking with the board about perhaps doing this as part of the annual training. So when the new board members come on, perhaps they could get the same overview of all the departments so they have a good, firm understanding shortly after they join the boards as new board members. Thank you.
Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question, Director Robledo. Good to see you. I'd like to get an update on the VMS standing. Do they abide by Davis, Sterling, and Roberts rules?
No, they do not. It's a private company. However, within the bylaws, there are some sunshine provisions that
All
we
right,
abide
well,
by.
the thing is, I'm glad you say they don't abide by Robert's rules or Davis Sterling, because I think that things like that shouldn't be held in closed session. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Siobhan?
I do want to expound on what Director Robledo said. We meet all noticing requirements that are set forth in the Davis-Sterling Act, despite the fact that we do not necessarily have to abide by them.
Manny, do you have a sense of when the report will be finished, when the ad hoc committee will feel its work is done?
We're going to have our first draft the next meeting in, I would say, probably 2 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Ellen?
I appreciate you bringing it up, Sue, because we received that notice yesterday, and there is more information than just the department heads that are in the VMS meeting. So I was wondering if this is something that you do annually, every year you close off the meetings, or is this just this year?
Please, may I clarify? We're not closing off the meetings. We're simply not having the department head presentations at the open board meetings. The open board meetings will remain open
Oh, so
to
I
all of
missed
our
it.
members.
Okay, so
It's
I
just the
missed.
department head presentations that you can hear tomorrow if you come to the budget meeting.
Okay.
I'd like to respond to the question, too. The board did agree that it was redundant because it's covered at the orientation for the new members. It's also covered at the budget meeting. However, we're happy to have a presentation if there's an interest in a specific topic. What we were getting is every year they're going through the same material about their department and about how things work. And I agree, it is important for the new board members, but they can get it elsewhere. And we just wanted to take that away from the open meeting. We're not going to have the same presentation in closed session. In closed session, we deal with private personal, I call them personal personnel matters,
All right. Yeah.
litigation issues, and formation of contracts, which is something that needs to be done in private to protect the mutuals.
Thank you very much, Manny. Thank you for the work that you do, and we'll certainly miss Dan Kenny. Appreciate all that are involved, and we need to have another member for you to interact with from United, so thank you. Thank you, Manny.
Thank you.
Okay, Siobhan, CEO report.
Thank you, Honorable President, members of the board. This morning, I'd like to touch on a few key updates. The first is the 2025 budget process, which we just mentioned. This process to develop the 2025 business plans or budgets for GRF, Third, and United begins tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. here in the boardroom with the existing 2024 scope of services for each VMS department. Again, this is a great opportunity to get that background on the departments that we were just talking about. And then on March 25th at 9:30 a.m., United will have mutual specific scope of service reviews of landscaping, maintenance, and general services. Also, the GRF capital review is scheduled for Wednesday, May 15th at 1:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. Other key milestones in the budgetary process for the United Mutual is the third iteration business plan review in August, which is televised, and then business plan adoption, which is a planned event to occur at the September board meeting. This screenshot shows the full business planning meetings all in one place. I know it's difficult to read. The schedule is available on the Village website under the News tab and was featured in last Friday's What's Up in the Village. As a reminder, all budget meetings are in the boardroom and open to all interested members. Clubhouse 1 renovations are underway, as you know. Renovations to the 41,000 square foot, 60-year-old clubhouse began last Monday, March 4th, and the facility is now closed. This is the first substantial renovation of the clubhouse since construction in 1964. The project includes interior updates to flooring, wall coverings, lighting and fixtures, door and window replacement, and painting of all exterior stucco. The Village Library and Laguna Woods History Center are open. There is parking access near the entrance in the lot behind the library building. The Community Center Fitness Center is offering expanded hours to offset the closure of the Clubhouse One Fitness Center. These hours are Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and weekends from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Clubhouse 5's Fitness Center is open from 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Bocce and Petanque are open for the duration of construction, and the transportation hub has been moved temporarily to the parking lot on the east side of the Village Library. This allows the fixed route bus service to continue without modifying the schedule. The following restrictions will be in effect for the duration. Oops, I just lost my. Bear with me. For the duration of the 6-month closure, pickleball courts in the Community Fitness Center will be limited to 1 guest per resident at all times. Time limits will be imposed on exercise equipment when a fitness center is at capacity. Parking availability may be limited here at the community center, and wait times for amenities may be longer than normal. Residents are encouraged to use facilities and amenities during non-prime time hours. On the screen before you is the aquatics schedule that was effective March 6th. Pool 1 is currently closed for facility renovations. Pool 2 is closed for annual maintenance. Pool 4 is open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., with the exception of Friday mornings where it opens at 9 a.m. for cleaning. Pool 5 is open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. and opens late on Thursday due to cleaning, and that opens at 9 a.m. on Thursdays. And Pool 6 is open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're excited to announce a new program that we are calling Hold On No More. This is a convenient new resident services callback feature which alleviates phone traffic during peak call times and reduces hold times for our residents. Residents who call during peak times may leave a callback telephone number as an alternative to waiting on hold. They receive a return call according to their order in the telephone queue. In February, we handled more than 1,000 callbacks with a 3-minute and 40-second average wait time. So we're very excited about this customer service enhancement and thank our resident services staff for implementation. We also want to remind our residents to call or visit resident services during off-peak hours. These are from 1 to 4 p.m. daily and during the midweek versus Monday morning when call volume is the highest. Just a reminder that SCE invites utility customers to their public forums in March regarding its application to raise electricity rates. The remote forums are available via telephone and webcast, and they are on Wednesday, March 20th at 2 and 6 p.m. The telephone number, passcode, and instructions for comment are on the screen before you. These are also available on the Village website under the News tab and have been included in the recent What's Up in the Village. And then SCE also has in-person forums. Again, these are on March 20th at 2 and 6 p.m. These can be attended at the Recreation Park Community Center in Long Beach. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you very much.
Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask the CEO. I visited that lot that we're using between the library and 969 and San Sebastian for the buses, and they seem to be happy there, but I'm concerned the drivers have to use the library for restroom facilities, and then that little thing they have in the corner for their lunch break, I don't know if that's going to be adequate during rainy seasons and when it gets really hot in the summer. So I know maybe it's VMS, but I posed that. I went over there, and I don't think that might not be adequate here when the weather gets really, really hot for the drivers to get out of the weather. So I'd like to make that point. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Tony. We'll take a look at that.
Nancy?
Yeah, I want to just second what he said. I went over there and looked at it myself, and that was my architectural observation.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And that's a really great enhancement with the callback. The airlines and credit card companies have been doing it for a long time, and it's fantastic to, just be able to hang out, keep on with your day, and know that you will get a call back when it's your turn in the queue. So that's a great enhancement. And I'm glad that people are adopting it. That's great. You have over 1,000 the first month. Very cool. Okay, anything else for Siobhan? We'll move on then to the consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board in one motion. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be subject for further discussion and action by the board. Consistent with the statutory obligations under Civil Code 5501, a subcommittee of the board has reviewed, consisting of treasurer and one other board member, reviewed Laguna Woods Mutual preliminary financials for the months January 24 and has hereby ratified it. Any other, there are recommendations from landscape, from architectural controls, from finance committee, none. And at this point, I would ask for a motion to move the consent calendar as listed.
I so move.
So second, thank you. All in favor? Any objections? Okay, so moved. All right. Unfinished business. We will entertain a motion to approve the updated bench policy that has been under the 28-day notification period and is now up for ratification. 28 days has been satisfied.
All right.
Maggie?
Whereas Resolution 01-1234 adopted February 14th, 2012. I'm sorry. States the type of the bench, color, and model of bench, and whereas the Landscape Committee recognizes it does not address location, placement, adjacent services, or other safety considerations, and now therefore be it resolved March 12, 2024, that the Board of Directors of this corporation introduces the revised bench policy which gives guidance and direction on the type of bench, color, and model of bench, request procedure, placement, and safety considerations, and resolve further heritage bench style made of recycled plastic slats in cedar color and a heavy-duty cast aluminum frame, powder coated in black for all benches. Benches should have the following requirements: a seat height of 17 to 19 inches above the floor space, clear, firm, and stable ground space adjacent to benches should be included and should be a minimum of 30 to 40 by 48 feet. Seat backs should be provided that extend the full length of the seat. Benches should include armrests. And resolve further on benches located on paved walkways. The bench should be placed behind the back of the sidewalk. In locations where this is not possible, there should be at least 4 feet of space in front of the bench to allow for pedestrian traffic while someone is seated on the bench, and 30 inches on at least one side to permit a wheelchair to sit aside the bench. Resolve further in unpaved areas such as passive parks and landscape areas. Benches shall be placed where there is clear access to the bench and unobstructed, weather-resistant, firm and stable ground from a paved pathway. If there is more than one bench in a given area, at least one shall be accessible by wheelchairs. Resolve further seating areas should be shaded if possible, and benches should be anchored to prevent unauthorized movement or theft. Resolve further, no benches can be donated as a memorial and no plaque may be placed on them. Resolve further, requests for benches, whether to be funded by the mutual or donation, shall be accomplished through the landscape request form process. As with other requests, Staff would meet with the requester, ascertain the need and possible locations, and prepare a recommendation for consideration by the Landscape Committee, and resolve further that Resolution 01-1234, adopted February 4th of 2012, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Tony, second?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have two issues here after our last
Excuse me
meeting.
one second. Do we have a second? I second. Okay, thank you, Sue. Go ahead, Tony, now
All right, thank
discussion.
you. I have two issues. Number one issue is that I disagree with this. When I first came on the board, one of the residents came up with this, what they call thermoplastic coated thing, and it looked like to me they were powder coated. But anyway, the pitch was at that time that anything other than that type of stuff, wood or fabricated stuff, stays wet in the morning. And as you know, here at night in the daytime we have the sun on the earth and we have this thermal activity going on, and then at night it cools off, and so the air molecules shrink and it no longer can hold the water, so it deposits on anything. And so wooden benches, plastic benches have a tendency to stay wet, and people can't use it. And if you look at even the covered places where Octa the cover ones, they have that same type of material that dries really quickly. So I have a problem with that. And then I don't feel like we really answered the people who came here. On Sevilla, there's a big, it's not like a cul-de-sac, it's almost like a separate entrance. It's a huge place. They're the ones that asked us for benches, and we said no, and we would get back to you with the bench policy. And what they wanted us to do is give them a policy that says how bench placement is determined, not what it's made of. So that's my two issues with this. Thank you.
Okay. And I think in the, one of the codicils in the resolution states, requests for benches, whether to be funded by the mutual or by donation, shall be accomplished through the landscape request form. As with other requests, staff would meet with the requestor, ascertain the need and possible locations, and prepare a recommendation. Does that not answer?
To me, it doesn't. It's filling out forms. People ask for a policy so that they don't have to fill out forms if they feel they don't qualify for a bench. Mm-hmm. We're just going to fill out forms and then find out after the fact that they didn't qualify. They were asking us for a policy so they could decide, oh yeah, we qualify for a bench here in cul-de-sac 40, but cul-de-sac 39 doesn't. Mm-hmm. That's what they were asking for, and we haven't done that, I don't feel. Thank you.
Okay. Sue?
If I could, perhaps we need to have Kurt answer about the issue of the dew and the dampness and how long that's collected, but I don't know the answer to that one. But, oh good, Kurt is here, and he can respond to some of the questions and concerns. My issue was we needed to do something fairly rapidly in order to get the Friendship Walk benches replaced, and and we're having people come forward and ask for assistance. We have to fill out forms and do requests for everything around here, so I don't know how that would differ. I do know that people said they want more benches and they want a bigger policy, and I agree that they want that and it's needed, but I've always seen this as step one. We don't have, what they are requesting is kind of an unfunded mandate. Right now, we did not have money in the budget this year to put benches as where they would like in as many places as they'd like. I'd like to try to do a one-offs as often as we can, but we weren't, it isn't in the budget. So if perhaps other people have better information, but that's where my thoughts are. Kurt, would you respond?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
A couple of the items. One, the material is the thermoplastic mesh, expanded mesh ones. We got a lot of complaints from residents that they're not comfortable when you sit on them for a long time. And if I might be a little bit crude, you get waffle butt from them. So these are designed, the expanded thermoplastic ones are the ones we use for bus benches, where you're only sitting on it for a short period of time. These are meant to be comfortable over the long run, to sit and chat with your neighbors, et cetera. And the slats are only 2 inches wide, so it's not like you'll have big puddles sitting on there. They do drain when it rains. They will collect a little dew, as does everything. But we have found through our research that, like I said, people don't find the expanded metal ones comfortable to sit on for long periods of time, so that's why we went with these. They're very similar to a lot of the benches we have, except for we're using recycled plastic, which is environmentally friendly, and it doesn't rot like the wood. So that's why these materials are chosen. And as far as the thermoplastic, we have found that the thermoplastic has, due to its mechanical properties with the expansions and the shrinkage with weather, the difference between the metal and the plastic, different expansion rates, so it tends to separate over time. That's the problem with the benches we had on the Friendship Walk, where they just didn't stay attached to the metal. And as far as the bigger policy, Director Kwan was correct. This is step one of 2 steps. In the 5 years I've been in charge of landscaping, this is the only second bench request I have received. So we haven't seen a mass requesting for benches. So if and when we cross that bridge, I think we can look at a broader policy. But for now, there's so many different variances within the mutual as far as what's out there sidewalk-wise, landscaping-wise. So to have a very broad policy, I think we would be back to looking at individual requests as it goes.
Case by case.
Case by case.
Other discussion on this? Georgiana?
I just had a question on why people can't put a bench in as a memorial, like maybe someone who, their widowed spouse or something like that. I don't understand that.
We have United has a policy against memorials, period. We don't put memorials, otherwise, given the age group here, the whole place would look like a memorial. So it's been the policy of the board for years to not put memorials in at all, whether on trees, on benches, et cetera.
Oh, I guess I always, whenever I'd go for a walk around Balboa Island or stuff like that, a lot of these benches have memorials. I thought it was sweet, so anyway.
One opinion and the aesthetics of the community have to override, I think, how we might feel individually. Ellen?
Are these benches just going on the Friendship Walk?
No, that's just these. Oh. Once this is approved, we will put this style on the Friendship Walk.
Okay.
But as of now, we only have one pending request for a bench.
Okay.
And as we go into budget cycle, if we decide that we want to have more benches in more places, we will have the specifications of what that would be. Any more discussion on this? Paul?
We do have one member comment at this time, when you're ready. Maxine McIntosh.
Maxine?
Thank you. This is a subject dear to my heart because some years ago, Mary Stone and Dick Sharp were in charge of the committee looking into benches, and they did a real good, as you can imagine, the quality of Mary Stone's work, a real thorough historical search and recommendations from senior groups throughout the state as to height, material, and so forth. And of course, as several people here have alluded to, and Anthony brought it up, thank goodness, you need a bench that dries quickly and doesn't hold the dirt a long time. And this is the problem they found, of course, with a lot of the plastic benches. And so Mary and Dick eventually moved on. They were asked by GRF to take charge of studying all the signage in the village. So they they passed the bench policy on to me. And I was really not an official committee. I was just working, and I brought the report to the board, and they used a lot of the material that I had added to what Mary gave me. And then GRF said, you know, we want to use your ideas too, and they had me come and speak to one of their committees, and they went ahead with kind of the same policies. And finally, of course, third has been placing the what I call self-cleaning, fast-drying benches in their community. Now, the city here uses what looks like, or it does start out to be, a fast-drying, self-cleaning. And the only way you get that is by a mesh pattern in your material. But the city ordered about the cheapest ones that I understood you could buy, and they haven't worn well. They've had people come in and repaint them several years ago. They may need it again by now. But if you want to look at one of the good United benches that has been established, look at the one near the four-way stop just before you exit to go out Gate 1, right there at Calle Aragon and Seville. And now the way the benches were installed was not part of what you ordered with the bench, so that varies. Some were installed one way, some were installed another. Another good one is right on Calle Cadiz, as you make a right turn off Calle Aragon. The discomfort that some people have talked about is a bump in the back of the bench. But you see, if you push against that, it makes it 5 times easier to stand up. It really assists your body posture in standing. And I'm not sure that needs to be kept or not. The benches at the time the best benches were only designed that way. But we do need the powder-coated metal benches, in my best opinion. They last longer, and boy, they dry fast, because when you've got those coated wires, not even quite as big as your finger, they dry fast. I used to walk up and down Serpentine Walk. I've been a walker for 25 years. And at 11 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't sit on the benches because they were the plastic slat or the wood slat, and they were still holding water. These benches dry very quickly, and the debris falls through. So, good example, right near that four-way stop and on Cadiz Street. And I hope you'll take what Anthony, of course, Anthony's on the committee, that's good, said, and this information to heart. You're missing some details, I think, unless you have another document that covers the rest of it. This document does not state the powder-coated metal with the mesh pattern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion before a vote is taken on this matter? Again, these resolutions are not meant to be papal decrees that can never be changed. This is a good resolution, in my opinion, and if it's not perfect, we can perfect it over time, as we do with all resolutions. So in that case, at this point, is there any more discussion to be had on this? And I think Paul, do you want us to vote on the screen? We're ready to vote. Please vote on the screen. Is it working, Paul?
I think Director Tuning, it's not working on yours. Do you want to just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down?
My vote is yes, but it's not coming. Use your finger.
I think that one might have issues. Director Choi Ho, do you want to yes or no? Do you want to give me your vote? Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a pen, so I use my finger. It doesn't work.
I would give you a pen that I can't attach.
All right. My own one, it doesn't move.
Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Next resolution is to entertain a motion to approve revision of resale inspection fees. This was brought up last month. It's been on 28-day notification for member review and comments and to comply with Civil Code 4360, which has now been satisfied. And Maggie, would you be so kind as to read that resolution on resale inspection?
12B.
12B. Next pink one. Yep.
Resolution 0124XX, revised resale inspection fees. Whereas resale inspections are utilized to identify any damages, alterations, or modifications to the property for which the selling party may be financially responsible, as well as identify any necessary repairs, corrections, and/or replacements that may be the mutual's financial responsibility. And whereas a recent cost analysis revealed that a portion of the costs associated with the resale inspection process is not covered from the requesting member, and an increase in the fee would serve to recover more of the administrative costs associated with the transactions. Now therefore be it resolved March 12, 2024. The Board of Directors of this corporation hereby revises the resale inspection fees as, whatever that word is, inspection 360, I guess that's first inspection. First inspection 360, re-inspection if required $60, final inspection if required $110. Resolve further that each change will be billed separately, and resolve further that when a progress inspection is requested, or when a request for final inspection fails, the member will be charged a re-inspection fee, and resolve further no fee will be charged for final inspection if after the first inspection it is determined there are no corrections for the member to complete prior to the close of escrow, and resolve further the first inspection portion of the fees will be billed as a chargeable service to the seller upon completion of the first inspection, and the re-inspection and final inspection portion of the fee will be collected through escrow upon closing, and resolve further Resolution 010816 adopted January 8, 2008 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Is there a second? Nancy, second, okay. Discussion of this resolution, please. Nancy?
I just want to say for the audience that at the last town hall, we had a lot of discussion on this very point. And I'm pleased to report that I really think that we addressed any considerations and concerns that the residents who were surprised by it when we took the time to explain it to them. And in fact, I will point out that quite a number of our residents pointed out what the retail price of inspections are, and that the members should understand this is not a check that you write up front. These monies we collect in the close of escrow. So it's not that you're advancing money if you choose to sell your house. So it was really, ultimately, I want to say a win-win as a result of the town hall, and I think it's an appropriate decision that should be approved.
Sue?
Thank you, Nancy. That's a good summary. People, there was an individual who was concerned about the increase, but again, it's been many, many years since this increase. Right. This was looked at, and the increase takes effect. I think they were surprised to find out what exactly goes into this when you do the inspection. It's the initial request for inspection, it's the research of the manor, it's the assembly and archive of material, you generate the packet, you schedule the inspection, appliance confirmation fieldwork, appliance updates and archives, inspection, prepare draft report, final first inspection report, report issuance, miscellaneous calls, and coordination. So it isn't just they run in, take a look, and run away. This is a very important piece of information for both the buyer and the seller, so that they know that things have been inspected, and they know the pros and cons of this. And as Nancy said, this is a negotiated item in settlement. So it seems quite reasonable. I think they just didn't understand the entire process of going through this. So,
Other comments? Are we ready to take the vote? We will vote the motion, please, on the screen. All right.
Okay, motion passes.
Motion passes, thank you.
Okay.
It'll be implemented as soon as possible. Thank you. Disciplinary report update. Francis?
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President. So before you is Agenda Item 12C, the disciplinary update report. Below is the table of the breakdown of disciplinary cases that are handled by the Compliance Division for the month of December to February of this year. We started the month of February with 290 cases and ended with 333 cases. So we're at 43 cases. The noteworthy categories of the violations as nuisance, illegal occupancy, maintenance, and overall clutter have increased, and landscape and alteration standards have decreased. So that concludes my report, and I'm available for the board if you have any questions.
Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to ask, it's a matter of information. In this nuisance thing, these nuisance complaints, are they all about one thing, or they range a whole, is there a whole range of things? Thank you.
It's a range, so it would be anything from a noise nuisance that's as a result of a loud TV or a loud radio or anything emanating from the unit. It could also go all the way to behavior. If there's a behavior or dispute, then that would be classified as a nuisance as well, per the policy.
Mickey?
Yeah. Can you explain a little more further detail the illegal occupancy? What kind of violence are you talking about? I mean, there could be different kinds, but
Yes.
can you give us examples?
Yes. So the illegal occupancy category includes people who are residing in the unit past your 60-day window.
Oh.
So you do allow a guest time limit, which is 60 days. So anything on the 61st day within a 12-month calendar year is considered an illegal occupant. So anybody that's residing in the unit without board approval falls under this category of illegal occupancy issues. Anybody that has stayed in the unit past their expired lease application authorization will fall under this category as well.
How do you keep track of it? I mean, for example, after 60 days, do you know how? I mean, if they just leave it there, how do you catch them?
Well, we have a couple of different resources. So if we receive a complaint about someone residing the unit that hasn't been approved or the resident doesn't think has been approved, we'll look at the database that we have access to see if they have been approved or not. If they're not in the database, we will send out an inspector to do an occupancy check. We will speak with the member, with the residents, with the neighbors, with anybody who we can. We also have access to look at the dwelling life system to see if there's been gate passes that, given to that individual. Anything like traffic citations or anything that's been given, because overnight vehicles also have to have an overnight parking pass. So if they don't have one, they'll get a traffic citation. So we look at different resources that we have to compile that information. And that will determine the start of that 60-day period. And then we will monitor it and then also work with the resident. If they're intending for them to continue to reside in the unit, then we educate them on your policy to get them approved and get them in compliance. Otherwise, once the 60-day time has elapsed, then we would send them a disciplinary notice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Maggie?
I'd just like to remind everybody that compliance relies on member calling. If a member doesn't call, then we don't know the situation exists. We do not have enough security to be able to walk our blocks once or twice a day to look for things going on. But residents have eyes and they see whatever it is they see all day. So we rely on resident calls because we can't have full-service security stationed around the village. Thank you.
Other comments on Francis' report on? Thank you very much. We are a really well-behaved group, I must say. Really, I appreciate the work that goes into this report, and it's interesting to look at the trends always. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Okay, under new business, moving along to section 13, the first item is town halls. Our next meeting is April 12th, Friday, April 12th. And right now we have kind of an open docket as to what the topic might be. Sue?
In reading through the minutes, it's for the Maintenance and Construction Committee, there was an excellent report done on roofs and how often that they do the roofs, what types of material, that sort of thing. And I thought it was quite interesting. I would like to see it myself. I'm not on the Maintenance and Construction Committee, but I thought that might be of interest to people. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll be glad to do that, Nancy.
Are we looking at suggestions?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
On April 10th, Third Mutual, Andy Ganoscio, and myself will be presenting a proposal for a building, a
No.
plan. So would that be appropriate for the town hall?
No.
Okay.
Too soon.
Okay.
Maggie?
I think the roofing is particularly good since we've had all the rainfall and all those questions about leaking and everything else, and people want to know where they are. I think roofing is a very good thing. So that would be a Maintenance and Construction Committee led.
Yeah, and I'll bring some materials for show and tell. How many of us have ever seen our roofs really up close and personal? So, okay, we'll do.
Well,
Yes,
you know,
Pearl?
remember last time when we had a town hall on roofing, that Lettner?
Lettner came in,
and
yes.
made a presentation.
Oh, good idea
So
to bring
maybe,
him back.
maybe something
perhaps.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nancy?
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be a good idea to bring Lettner in. And one of the things that's really important that I've learned in the last year with just doing some roofing issues is that once people put skylights in or a washer and dryer or some vent system, they don't realize that we're not up there inspecting it for them and that they are responsible for making sure that's in good operating condition, which includes having someone come in and vacuum out that vent from the dryer, and so on and so forth. So I think Lettner would be really useful, and also, I'm not sure if it's someone from M&C that can kind of address those issues so they understand, you know, you've got some alterations on the roof and not just the roofing composition itself.
Thank you.
How about somebody talks about the sunroof? Because a lot of the leaking is caused by sunroof as well. So if we can get somebody along with the Lettner.
Yes,
Yeah,
good
to
idea.
talk about how to get it inspected, how to
Right.
be
Thank you. Yeah, there are a lot of additions done in the past of those, what we call, I don't know, patio rooms, Florida rooms, whatever, that were added on, and they have roofs, patio covers, exactly, they do have roofs, and they're not part of the united responsibility to maintain, so, yep. Sue, were you next?
I think you should, a suggestion, not I think you should, a suggestion would be to also talk about how we have had to add additional money to the budget because there were additional roofs that needed to be addressed this year. And I think, you know, it's important to know that, for people to know just how we go about determining that and what the cost would be and how many need to be added.
Yeah, there's a very specific formula is how a roof is rated for replacement. It's quantitative, it's not subjective, and it's a very clear formula. So, okay, thank you. I guess that's, we're on now to entertaining under 13B, a motion to approve revision of standard 20 patio covers, aluminum and vinyl. And this is our initial notification, and if Maggie will read it, we will then put it out for a 28-day comment and approval.
Resolution 0124XX, revised standard 20, balcony, patio, and atrium covers. Whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognizes the need to amend standards and to create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognizes the need to revise Standard 20, patio and balcony covers, aluminum and vinyl, now therefore be it resolved April 9th, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revisions and amendments to Standard 20, balcony, patio, and atrium covers, and resolve further Resolution 011907, adopted January 8th, 2019, is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second. Thank you, Mickey. All right. Staff report.
Good morning. We did a fairly...
Excuse me one second. Would you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm
Because
sorry.
we haven't met you.
My name is Alan Grimshaw. I'm the manager of Manor Alteration.
Thank you.
Certainly. So for the Architectural Review and Compliance Committee, we did a fairly extensive slideshow. I do not have that present this morning, but am more than willing to answer questions. Let me go through the highlights of this and the background of the name changes. We did update the building materials, building standards. We did review for architectural issues, compliance issues, and code issues. We added atriums specifically to this because there was a lot of concern on what is required when an atrium is enclosed. Current code requires that a bedroom exit into a open space. Many of the manors have bedrooms that currently exit into the atrium. So that could become a potential issue if that atrium, which is now open, is enclosed. So this revised standard incorporates the verbiage that says you can enclose the atrium as long as you don't have a bedroom whose only exit is onto the atrium. So we've clarified that in the standards. We've also gone over if you fully enclose, partially enclose, and in what terms that you can do that and still comply with current building code regulations.
Questions?
Thank you for addressing this and bringing this up. This was very contentious in the committee, and I think it should be very contentious in the committee because the standard was, if I understand this correctly, the city, adopted this, and we pretty much have to follow what the city states. And so I was concerned because I was afraid it would affect the resale value of the property. Instead of being able to say I have a 2-bedroom Madrid, if I were to enclose it, I would have to say I have a 1-bedroom and a den or an office space because it would be a non-conforming use of that facility, if I understand this correctly. Reading the material, it says that it needs to be able to exit to the outside. Well, my atrium and my doorway are maybe 6 feet apart, if that. So I just want to bring this up so people know that this is an issue. We did discuss it. I don't think we can do anything about it. I think we have to follow the code.
Well-
And if I am wrong on that, please explain
No,
that.
you're correct, but let me offer this clarification. All the city or building code requires is a bedroom must have a secondary exit to an open area. That's all the code requires. If what we have here is several manors, that currently that second exit is onto the open atrium. If those were built today, that would not be allowed, but it is accepted because at the time they were built, that was an acceptable means of egress. So the atrium standard is, or update for this is attempt to clarify that and give the member alternates by which we can satisfy both the building and have a full enclosure.
I'm sorry, Vidya?
Yes, by access, you mean a door or would a window do it?
Fair question. The code requires that they have a secondary access. Usually that's a window. They have specific sizes as to the size of that window, and that window needs to, per current code, exit into an open space.
Specifically, my own condo, both bedrooms have just a secondary access that you call through a window. There's no other exit. And when you get out, when you look out of the window, it's on a direct slope that just goes down. It's hardly an exit. I mean, it's dangerous. I don't think you could exit on that if there was an emergency or something. There's just no way. That's not an exit.
I understand it may be difficult, but as far as the building code is concerned, they're just looking for a secondary exit in case of there's an emergency and first responders need to get to that particular member.
Thank you.
Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to bring everybody's attention to the fact that we have 44 of these standards, architectural control standards, and if you're thinking about doing anything, I recommend that you go to our documents section on our website, and it'll save you a lot of heartache if you read those before you get into. And the staff here is going through these 44 items and updating them, so they deserve kudos for that. Thank you.
Nancy?
We do have somewhat often architectural conundrums in here because of the way when it was built, how it was built. There's 3 of us I know on the panel that have Madrid models with a central atrium. And my consideration wasn't seeing an atrium in the center. Yes, there's a bedroom with a window to access it, but then it takes you outside into a cell with a 10-foot high wall. So if there was a fire, there's only one way you can get out, and that is if somebody throws down a ladder for you to exit the atrium. Now, my atrium is enclosed now, and I feel a lot safer because I can exit and get out easily and safely. So I don't know to what extent we have any influence over the code or considerations in terms of having qualifications within the code, but I raise that point because it is far safer now than when the atrium was strictly there, where there would have been no way for me to exit other than having a ladder in there all the time to exit out.
Maggie?
Yes. 2.9 seems to indicate that we no longer allow the enclosure of the atrium. Is that correct? I mean, the state doesn't want us to have it, does it?
I'm sorry, which?
2.9.
That all I have is the revised.
Oh, okay.
In front of me. I
It just
apologize.
says a cover may not be installed over an atrium when the atrium serves as a means of exit for a sleeping room. And So like I have a Cordoba with an open atrium, and I like it that way. But if I sell it, they would not be able to enclose it any longer, would they?
Well, let me address the last two comments. As far as the city is concerned, the exiting for a bedroom hasn't changed. At the time these manors were built, an atrium was considered an acceptable means of egress. Today, that would not be allowed, but because it was allowed at one time, as long as that manor doesn't change, the city has to accept that because it was built on a code that was approved.
Right.
Today, though,
But on a new request to cover if the next person moves into my manor and wants to cover the atrium, they can't do it.
they can do it.
They can.
Yes, thank you for asking that. So let me clarify that. Atriums can be covered. We have, in this revised standard, stipulated the means by which they can be covered. The only issue really is that if you have a bedroom that currently only exit onto the atrium, that would need to be changed. You can designate that name be changed from a bedroom to a den. There are certain specific criteria which you would need to do that. But this standard clarifies those options for you and by which you can fully enclose the atrium.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Ellen?
This was a hot button in the architectural. We discussed it because I have an enclosed atrium. And what I understand is if you call it a den or an office, you'll allow an atrium to be enclosed. You'll approve an enclosed atrium. Correct?
That's correct. As far as the city or the building code requires, the only exiting requirements are actually just for bedrooms. So if a room is reclassified and there are details on how you can reclassify a room, then you can do a full atrium enclosure.
Nancy?
I'm sorry.
I have a question. What code are we referring to? Is this a city code? Is this a county code? Is this a state code?
No, it's a California building code.
Okay, and second, my understanding architecturally is that a closet in a room designates that as a bedroom. It doesn't necessarily have to have a window. Now, the code may have changed on that, but the definition of a bedroom is a room with a closet.
Yes.
Sue?
I wanted to ask a clarifying question as well. I think if you're just talking about covering the roof or creating a roof over the atrium, but the entry is still open to your main area, and then you have a bedroom adjacent that either has a window into the covered atrium or they put a doorway into the atrium. Is that then allowed to be called a bedroom if there is egress in two ways? Like from hallway door through an atrium door.
I'm not sure.
It would be like a U shape. I'm just trying to figure out for resale value for individuals if you could still call it a bedroom if you just simply enclose the roof, or create a roof over the atrium.
I think we're getting way off the motion here. Let's get back to motion. We have a
Okay.
motion on the floor. All these are individual issues that need to be brought up in alterations and can be decided. But let's keep to our format. If there's, on the motion, any more discussion? Let's move the motion then. Let's vote the motion then. All those in favor, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no on your screen. Thank you.
Did it work? Okay.
Okay.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Goes on 28-day review. Next, we have a motion, entertain a motion to enact Standard 39, balcony and patio enclosures.
Resolution 0124XX enacts Standard 39 balcony and patio enclosures. Whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognized the need to enact Standard 39 balcony and patio enclosures, now therefore be it resolved April 9, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopt Standard 39, balcony and patio enclosures. Resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I move this resolution.
Second? Mickey, seconds, thank you. Okay, background and staff report.
Alrighty. Excuse me. So there was a need, we felt that there was a need to separate this out from Standard 20 because of the differences involved here. There have been a lot of material manufacturing updates. So we've included those in the report. We've reiterated if you can have a full balcony enclosure or a full patio enclosure, what you can or cannot do to facilitate those. We've updated the architectural guidelines. We've also included updated standards for glazing to recommend for that. Perhaps the biggest note, at least from our perspective, is well, I'm looking at the new standard, but it has to cover, California enacted a balcony law. And our projects division is currently going through the entire village, updating and reviewing balconies for structural integrity. So there's verbiage in this particular standard that lets members or makes members aware of the fact that we do have a balcony law in effect that we are going through. If they put a balcony enclosure on a balcony before we've had a chance to review it and update it, then they will be responsible for getting that update prior to putting the balcony enclosure on there. I hope that was clear. Questions?
Questions? Observation, I'm glad to see that guttering is addressed. Gutters cause a lot of problems in this community.
It has been a serious issue.
Right.
We went through and updated the gutter and downspouts, but we also clarified specifically the requirements if you're going to add, for that matter, a patio enclosure as well as a balcony enclosure, the guttering and drainage requirements on it.
Again, an observation is that this resolution and the standards that are written up here are what will be applied when someone wants to do something and goes to alterations department, submits the plan, starts a case going that gets reviewed by the professionals in charge of this area. So it's hard to say exactly whether there'll be a yes or a no on some specific item. It all depends on what's being proposed and how it conforms or it doesn't conform, and the negotiation process ensues. Am I
Correct.
right about that, Alan?
Yes.
Yeah, that, this is not going to cover and give you black and white answers on every single nuance that could possibly occur, but this is what the policy is. Nancy, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to point out at 8.3 of this provision says, should it become necessary, member is directly responsible for the removal of all or partial enclosures so as to facilitate building maintenance. That's an important provision because we've seen in member hearings where something happened to an adjacent unit, and in order to repair or maintain, they had to remove the structure, the whole enclosed patio enclosure room. And that can be very, very pricey. I mean, I think we've seen estimates from $5,000 to $10,000 just to remove it and put it back in, which is tragic for the owner. And it makes it imperative that you have HO6 insurance.
And the inspection checklist that everybody, on a resale, going through that inspection checklist, it will be noted that there is a patio and that it's an alteration, that is not standard, and that is your responsibility forevermore.
That's correct.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Comments? Are we ready for the vote at this point? Okay, we will vote this resolution, please.
Yeah, I will. We'll do director comments and take 5. Thank you.
Paul?
Director Liberatore, your vote, please. Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Okay, we are down to director comments from the Horseshoe, and then we will take a 5-minute recess before starting the committee report. So going around the circle, Georgiana, do you have anything to?
Yes, just what I would say, especially to maybe those who are viewing online, is that we do have the resident advisory group, and if you have something that may be long-standing or maybe something that's fallen through the cracks, we meet on the second Thursday of each month, which would be this Thursday at 4 p.m. in the Elm Room. Anyway, I know we have a lot of issues, especially as an older community, and so sometimes people have something they don't know what to do about, and we'll try and help you with that, get you connected.
Nikki?
Yes, as long as our board meeting goes, and we are doing very well. But again, a procedural comment that as Director Walk mentioned, that those specific things are being discussed in the committee meeting. That's the whole purpose of committee. They do extensive research and discussion, and so they bring the recommendation to us. So maybe sometimes if it is too specific, if it does not apply to every board members, maybe we could trust committee's work.
Maggie? Thank you.
Yes, we had a good town hall. It was very good. We had information from websites about senior communities. If you want to see how United is doing, look on those websites. Just look it up. One is called 55something.com. I've forgotten what it was. And it, out of 209 facilities, both Seal Beach and Laguna Woods Village were rated the most economical and the best. Out of 209, there were 8 on the list, and we are on the list. So we beat all those others, which are everything. Some of them are just hotels for seniors, some of them are more than that. But they put us on the list of 8 for the entire state of California. Thank you.
Sue?
We are starting the budget process, and this is so important to our boards and to our residents. And I really encourage you to listen in on these budget presentations. The GRF, I believe, is starting tomorrow, and they will go through their issues, and I think it's really important that we understand the service level agreements. This first step is not to decide, oh, we should have put more money in, or we shouldn't have, we should take money away. This is what we purchased for the year. So this is where we are. This is where we are, and then we need to decide if it was too little, too much, and then adjust for the following year.
Pearl?
A week ago, there was an event that was sponsored by Community Bridge Builders. It's called One Song, 300 Voices. All the residents that they have never met before got together, over 300 residents came to Clubhouse 3. We learned a song about promoting the peace and the harmony in the village, and it created a lot of positive energy, and it was a wonderful experience. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. Vidya?
Yeah, I have two things. One is I would second what Pearl just said. Both she and I participated in that program, and it was an outstanding and extremely moving experience to see 300 people coming from different countries, appearances, languages, whatever, coming together and singing that song. It was very uplifting. So I would encourage that you not only watch the song when it's shown on the village TV, which should be within a week or so, but that you consider attending at least a meeting with the community bridge building club. It's a great place to go to. The second thing is about the resident services, and I'm really heartened to note that there's this callback number which should help, callback service, which should help any number of people who have difficulties in getting over physically to the resident services, but who have had to hold on for hours and hours before being disconnected. So I'm very happy about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Nancy?
Yes, I just want to encourage people who could serve the community by being a director is really important. If you have business experience, finance experience, general management experience, architectural and engineering experience, various departmental experience within major operations, that is such an asset to us. Recreational management experience. Do not be deterred, as I've heard, by hearing that existing directors on the various boards where these openings are current and going to be opening, that someone's going to be retaking or running again, who've already an existing director. Do not be deterred in submitting applications. This is an open forum. It's not designed to be prejudicial toward an existing director. It's open, and I really encourage it. We really need to have contemporary new directors submitting applications. So welcome.
Tom?
No comments at this time. Thank you.
Ellen?
Hi, I'd like to reiterate what everybody has talked about as far as the committees. The committees are the building blocks of this community, and there's many committees to choose from. You can attend them, and you will be able to see how the government process works in this community and see if you have an interest in becoming a director. There is the Finance Committee, the Architectural Committee, Governing Docs. You have a lot to choose from: landscape, maintenance and construction, and as Georgiana said, the resident advisory. So there is lots to choose from, and we need you. I want to encourage you to check it out and maybe consider a director, running for director. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let's take 5 on a recess and be back for committee reports. Thank you. stand up and wiggle.
Is the person listening in today to tell us how well we're doing?
I think we have a quorum present, more than a quorum present, so we can proceed now of reopening the meeting, reopening the open meeting, and proceeding with committee reports. And the first one, of course, is finance. So, Mickey, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Moderator and directors. I'm bringing the treasurer's report for March 12th, today's meeting, but it's through the reporting period of January 2024. Total revenue for United was $4,599,000 compared to expenses of $4,248,000, resulting in net revenue of $351,000. Next slide shows in finance, we keep a close eye on the operating portion of our financial results. The operating fund without depreciation shows an operating deficit of $33,000 through the reporting period. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into operation, with $2,097,000 coming in from assessments and $136,000 coming from non-assessment revenue. This is compared to operating expenditure of $2,266,000 without depreciation. And slide 3, in this chart takes the full income statement and compare those results to budget. We can see that United ended the period better than budget by $211,000 when combining all funds. And slide 4 shows the most significant variances from budget were attributable to the following: employee compensation, $116,000. Favorable variance resulted primarily in the maintenance and construction and landscaping departments due to open positions. Impacted areas include plumbing, paint, carpentry, electrical, and grounds maintenance. And recruitment is in progress to fill in current open positions. Grounds maintenance contracted shrub bed maintenance to outside vendors for the pruning, weeding cycle as they continue to fill open position. And second favorable variance is materials and supplies, $62,000. Favorable variance primarily in, again, M&C department due to timing of material purchases. Impacted areas include electrical, paint, and interior components. And then outside services, $37,000. Favorable variance primarily in the maintenance and construction department due to timing of expenditures in construction and project management. Damage restoration and building maintenance offset by an unfavorable variance in waistline remediation. And then professional fees, $12,000. Favorable variance due to timing of expenditures for dry rot repair, consulting fees in M&C, and financial services expenses related to the audit and tax services. While the budget was spread across 12 months, the financial audit did not begin until February. And utility and telephone, $50,000. Unfavorable variance was primarily in sewer due to higher rates than anticipated at the time of budget preparation. And fees and charges to residents, $99,000 unfavorable. And this result in unfavorable variance primarily due to less backlog revenue than originally anticipated at the time of budget preparation. Next slide shows we see the non-assessment revenue earned to date of $194,000 approximately. To be exact, $194,350. Revenue is organized by category, starting with our largest revenue generating category, fees and charges, followed by investment income, laundry, resale processing fee, lease processing fee, and so forth, from 30% to 1%. And the next slide, 6, on this pie chart, we see the expenses to date of $4,247,824 to be exact, showing that our largest categories of the expenses are for employee compensation, 30%, and property tax, 27%, followed by insurance, 12%, outside services, 12%, utilities, about 10%, and so forth. And in the upper right corner, we show a breakout of the utility category, sewer in top of almost $169,000. And slide 6. On this slide, we see those same expenses excluding property tax. So you can see all the numbers there. And then slide 8. Our fund balances are shown here. The contingency fund balance on January 31st, 2024 was $1,202,000, and contributions collected totaled $12,000 with no expenditures to date. And the reserve fund balance on January 31 was $15,595,000. And contributions and investment revenue collected totaled $1,141,000, while expenditures was $813,000. On slide number 9, we compare this to historical fund balances for the past 5 years on the chart, which have averaged $18.6 billion. Finally, slide 10, we have a slide here to show resale history from 2022 to 2024 through January 31st, 2024. United resales total 32, which is 12 resale higher than the prior year for the same time period. The average year-to-date resale price for the United Mutual Manor was $364,000, which is $71,000 more than the prior year for the same time period. I'd like to point out this is year-to-date. So if you look at that chart, resale price last year, $293,000 and $293,000, which was very low, but it was just January month. But if you are concerning about the total resale price comparison is on the finance report Finance Committee report, which we show on the next finance report page, item number 15A3, page 101, right? You can see from, do you see the item 15A and 3, page 101. Monthly resale report, whole spectrum of the numbers are there. January of this year, we sold 31, but last year it was only 20. And then on the right-hand side of column, the average resale price was January 367,965, and the February 354,768. And then last year, January was just only 290,200, and then again February went up 327,547. So whole total average, monthly average of last year came out 310,374. And this year we have 2 months, which average was 361,366. Okay. And then the other opposite side of the same report, we have monthly active leasing report. Up to this date, we have 13.1% lease percentage compared to last year, 12.2%. So this is Treasurer's report, but continue to financial, planning and calendar. We are having an auditing process right now, and GLF Special Audit Committee is meeting from February, and we met twice already. And last week, about 14% of the audit has been completed, but we're meeting next week again, and it will be finished by April. We have audit calendar was given by today, the CEO report, and also budget calendar was presented. So we are going to complete next month, April, the budget, the audit process. However, the budget is starting from tomorrow. GLF budget presentation, it will be given to all the boards, so on. So a lot of financial activities are going on, and we'd like to ask each one of you and some members come to the committee. And Finance Committee is going to meet the last Tuesday of this month, March. We have not met February. So please come, and we will have a lot of, even this afternoon's closed session, we will have very serious financial issues coming. So we will have a discussion, and next Finance Committee meeting, we hopefully have better picture on the financial spectrum of this coming year. And also, we need to plan for next year, 2025. So if you have any question, yes, Nancy?
Thank you, Mickey. Can you put up slide 9?
Slide 9. Okay.
It's a historical fund balance, which
Yes.
I think it's,
Slide 9, right?
yeah,
The fund balance, right?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got that right. Yeah. Can you, is the function, what's happened in 2022 to present, is that a function of us holding our assessments?
It's a
low,
reserve study.
Or was there something that we were spending extra money on at that time frame that?
No, it's out of
Causing
the
a drop.
30-year reserve study graph, so it's coming that way. It was as planned for 30 years.
Well, I'm looking at 2022,
Yes.
23, and 24, which should, those the
Yes,
funds drop down.
Tom?
Yeah, it has been budgeted for a deficit each of those years, that there was more money being spent than that's brought in. So it was constantly bringing it down, and it was basic
Yeah.
functions, roofing and things like that. But it has been budgeted as
Yes.
a deficit for 3 years, and we're trying to reverse that.
Right, and part of that would have been that we were holding the assessments to a certain level, so we didn't have that revenue
Exactly.
to contribute
Yeah,
to it.
if you look at the blue book, then it will go down until 2026. That was the way that we kind of planned. And then from then on, we have to keep it increasing in some way, right?
Right, correct. So I just want the members to understand that we were holding back on assessments and that the
Right.
reality is showing up in
Exactly.
this chart. So
Thank you.
bear that in mind when we're planning
All right.
for 2025. Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tony, you're next, your committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Architectural Control Committee, as you have witnessed through the thing here, is very busy with these architectural control standards, the 44 of them, updating them and bringing them to code. And so we'll be having another meeting on the 13th, I think it is, at 9:30, 3:21, I'm sorry, at 9:30 here. And we'll be going through 2 more of the architectural controls. So I invite everybody to come and voice their opinion. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy, Member Hearings Committee?
Well, that's a pretty standard hearing where we are hearing cases and endeavoring to collect money that we've determined is the responsibility of the members, where they wind up reimbursing us. It's usually damage related. So there's nothing more to report than that's how that committee functions.
Are you still doing all-day sessions twice a month? Thurl?
Yes, 9 to 5, and it's a full day.
9 to 5, yeah, okay.
Actually, this is the first month. In last 7 months, we only have once a
right,
month.
Great.
But that doesn't mean that it won't happen next month. But we're catching up as fast as we can.
Right, and the schedule calls for this month's hearing, I think it's in the neighborhood of about $50,000 that we'll be endeavoring to recoup.
Well, let's hope. Good. Maggie, governing docs.
Okay, we met on February 15th. Anthony was there, Nancy was there. Mary Stone is going to retire as an advisor for us. She's been at it a long time. She should be called the librarian of the village. She knows all the facts, all the features. She's collected all of her documents, and in fact, she's putting them in the library center, whatever you call that, and so that they can be kept. I do mine, but mine is much more haphazard. Mary is very complete, and so her documents and her knowledge have been very valuable to United and the village for a long time. But anyway, she's taking a rest from governing documents and a few other things, so we'll miss her. We had a meeting on February 15th. We discussed the schedule of monetary penalties, and we looked at those and had a few changes which will be presented to us this month in next week for monetary penalties. And the committee charter was also modified very slightly, and that will be presented to us for its final copy. Both of those are good things. And we're going through still, piece by piece, a review of the operating rules guidebook and trying to make them more palatable or easier to read or clearer. And so we will meet March 21st, that's a Thursday, at 1:30. Architecture and alterations is before that at 9:30, and so that would be a good day for members to just spend the day here. Have lunch at the sandwich shop across and stay for the day and come to 2 meetings. Thank you.
Landscaping, Sue.
We are meeting on Monday, March 25th at 1:30, and we would encourage people to attend. This is a big portion of our budget, and we would like to share our information with you.
Okay. Resident advisory, Tony? Oh, I'm sorry, maintenance and construction, Pearl.
Actually, I was not present at the
No,
meeting.
that's right, you
Yes.
weren't, yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see, I guess I can give that one. M&C is always very interesting because it's so tangible, and it's something that everybody can relate to. One thing is that comes up all the time is the fact that people observe that light bulbs are left on all day and all night in areas around the carports and so on. And instead of going off according to the timer, they remain on. The explanation of that was given very clearly, that it's a function of EVs being charged in that particular carport. When there are too many people using the electricity, the circuit breaker gets tripped, and it stays in the on position until someone comes and resets it. So you have an unrelated EV charging, which causes lights to stay on until reset. And it's one of those problems that's more expensive to fix than to live with. But nevertheless, this is an issue that staff will continue to work on. Other than that, we really had the most excitement was from the group that is looking at doing a conversion of laundry rooms to a card reader system, and the fact that we may indeed have outside vendors that come in and run pilot studies for us in a couple different locations to give us alternatives to the current laundry room system that we have. And of course, that will be an education process. People have to learn how to use a non-coin access to a laundry machine if we go that way. But that's going to be possibly a source of more revenue for us, but it will require a re-education. So that's going to be a challenge. And other than that, it was pretty much the usual updates on the projects. And now we have Tony on advisories.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As you know, resident advisory is where people can come, as Director Georgina said earlier, to vent and get some answers. It's the second Thursday of every month in the Elm Room at 4 o'clock. Everybody's invited to come. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to GRF committees. Mickey, do you want to talk about finance, GRF Finance Committee? We've talked about the audit.
Yes, the Finance Committee of GRF met on Wednesday, February 21, 1:30 p.m. Our major issue is again the audit task force formation and information regarding that. So audit companies as previously chosen, it was a KPMG representative. So audit task force were composed of 4 people. GLF Treasurer William Cohen is the chair, and then Diane from BMS, she's at-large member, I believe, and Peggy Moore was third mutual representative, and I represented United Mutual, recommended by our President Polk. So 4 of us met and already three times, but the GRF Finance Committee was basically information regarding that, and calendar was given. Next meeting will be held on Wednesday, April 17th, 1:30 p.m. That is it.
And the task force, you've given that report essentially already?
Right, yes. So far, first task force was met with open meeting once. That was all the orientation information regarding the whole process. And then 2 closed meeting we had 2 closed meeting, but basically just progress of that meeting, how what has been done so far. So we'll continue to be having a meeting, two closed meetings, and then finally April, all the audit result will be brought to the whole board, United Third and GRF. So
Thank you. Okay. Ellen, CAC committee.
Yes, we met on February 8th, and the discussion was about Clubhouse 1 and the closing of Clubhouse 1, and all the events have been moved to other clubhouses, and Bocce Ball is still there, and the buses are at the parking lot next to the library. So if you want to catch a bus, you have to go there. And the pickleball club showed up, and we had a huge response from them. We also will be meeting again on March 14th. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Sue, landscaping, GRF?
Yes, it was an interesting meeting, and one of the things that Director Riemann talked about was the completion of the Monkey Puzzle tree trimming project. These trees are enormous, and they have significant cone size. They're beautiful, but they can be dangerous if they are not trimmed on a good cycle because of the size of the cones. So this is great that they are working on this in very near completion. They also said that they removed some dead wood off the 200-year-old sycamore tree that we have because they were pruning in that area. He also gave an update on the Aliso Creek cleanup. This has been a very big project for the GRF Landscape Committee, and they have been working diligently with all sorts of agencies to make sure that the flow is unobstructed. So they informed the committee that they are only needing to perform a major cleanup in the creek 3 times a year due to the work that's been done. So this is significant progress.
Thank you. GRF maintenance and construction, I'm on that committee, and I think the project log is vast there, and so we go through that at each committee meeting. I would say the notable progress was made regarding Clubhouse 2, the pool area. The pool deck is in bad shape. It's concrete. It looks like a motel. The kind of pool deck you'd see at a motel's swimming pool. And so the committee saw the benefit of maybe looking at using pavers. That surface has become cracked. It's allowing water to penetrate beneath into the subsurface. And so we voted to approve the project to look at and price out paving systems that have a nicer look, that look more like a country club swimming pool than just a standard swimming pool. So that was a big improvement that we'll see how it prices out. Let's see, other things that are of interest. It was all pretty much standard, and I'll segue into the other committee I'm on of GRF, Maintenance and Construction, and that is the committee that is looking at revising the bathrooms in the Performing Arts Center. Now, an interesting thing is when you close the bathrooms down to redo the bathrooms, you can't use that whole facility. So you've got to know exactly, acts cannot be booked in there, meetings cannot take place. You can't do anything if there's no bathroom available for visitors to use. So they're looking carefully at not only remodeling those bathrooms, but when it might be done, how it might be done. So, and then, of course, most importantly, to let bookings know so that nothing happens in that clubhouse while the bathrooms are not available. I don't feature people going out to use porta potties if they come to. It's not happening. So that's the story there. Space planning, Nancy?
Allison and Tom both serve on the committee with me, and it's becoming highly focused at this point relative to the space planning process that we're in. There is scheduled right now a meeting on March 20th, but I will also call out that there's going to be a meeting on April 10th relative to some of the directions that we're looking at. That's what I have to report there. Unless you have anything to add?
No, media and communications, Georgiana? Georgiana? Okay, all right. January 15th was, it looks like April 15th coming up. Mobility and vehicles, Nancy?
Yes, briefly. Oops. We recently looked at specifications relative to vehicles, not purchasing them, but the specifications, understand the distinction between the two, what we were authorizing. They could purchase when they need to at the time that they need to purchase, but not making purchase approvals at this point. We're going to be reviewing the charter and the budget relative to 2025, and everybody, basically all the committees are working on budget planning right now.
Security and community access, Maggie? And then you can go right into traffic hearings, too. Okay.
16 which?
G.
Oh, here it is.
16G.
Security, there it is. Okay. Okay, oh yes, it's two parts. The hybrid meeting of the Security Community Access was held. Let's see. It's to be determined. We held our last one on October 25th. We will have our next one to be determined. And a noteworthy incident on that one was a vehicle stalled in the middle of a street and a call for assistance was made for moving the vehicle, and the officer got there very quickly and helped her, and that was great. It was kind of frightening for the member. Okay, as part of that is a 16G, the Disaster Preparedness Task Force. And we met on January the 30th. We have problems with radio people. We need more of them also. The Good Neighbor Captains Program has essentially been shelved because people are afraid to sign up for it. They cannot promise that they will be on grounds or available, and they don't want to go door to door beforehand to introduce themselves and then be unable to do it. So that's a little difficult. The pet evacuation is moving along smartly. They've got forms to fill out, they've got applications, and the plan is to use one of the clubhouses. If you cage your pets, you can store them in one of the clubhouses if need be. The emergency operation call, we've got a company called Jacob Green Associates who specialize in developing emergency operation plans for cities and counties and other private sectors. They will provide a tabletop and field response exercise with design services, and we'll check over our policies and see if there are gaps in what we can do. The antenna project is still ongoing. We've received 3 bids, and we should be ready sometime this month to pick a bidder to set up or recorrect our radio antennas. Okay, the traffic report, Vidya and I both attended that. It's always an interesting and amazing thing. We discovered that United only needs send one person to traffic because the other 2 only send one. So we have selected Vidya, who will be our next and future traffic reporter. Thank you.
Okay. Tony, do you have anything to add to disaster prep? Maggie's covered quite a bit of it.
Not much, Madam Chair, except that the great shakeout is coming. And our next meeting for the disaster preparedness will be on the 26th of March here in this room, and hopefully Eric Nunes will give us an evaluation of how we did with this great shakeout. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay. And it looks like we're down to the last one. Sue, IT.
Madam Chairman.
I'm sorry.
Isn't there a disaster preparedness, some kind of they're putting together something for this Friday? They have like a meeting, I think, in Clubhouse 3.
Yeah, I'm
this
not familiar.
Friday.
Well, that, Madam Chair, is a lady named Grace, has organized a team there, her own little group for Clubhouse 3, working with Eric Nunes. And I don't know what she has planned, but she's the one that organized her own group. They all have reflective vests and stuff, and they've worked with Eric Nunes. And, and Eric is going to give us an evaluation of how we stood up with this this great shakeout on this Friday. I think it's from 10 to 3 or 10 to 2 or something.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's in the morning, yeah, 10 to 1.
Sue, on IT, anything?
It's a multi-year project, and we continue to meet.
All right, that's all you can say about that one. It's either a 2-hour report or a 2-second. Thank you. Thank you all for your committee reports and for doing all the good work that you do in those committees. Future agenda items, of course, we have two motions that were passed, two resolutions passed today that we will have on 28-day review and we'll take up next month at our meeting. And at this time, unless there is some other burning issues, I will call a recess of this meeting. We'll have some lunch and reconvene in closed session in around 1:45. At 1:45, all right? Okay, motion to adjourn, open meeting? Okay, we are adjourned, thank you.